Ah, Great Britain, the land of fish and chips, stolen artifacts in museums, and of course, the royals. Among those royals is the one and only Queen Elizabeth II. For a little under 7 decades, Queen Elizabeth II has reigned over Britain, serving as the longest reigning monarch in the country's history. As one might imagine, being a royal isn't all it's cracked up to be. It can actually be rather difficult. Given the Queen's countless speeches and public meetings, it's no surprise that her day is packed from morning to night. You'd think, given her age, that the Queen is perhaps reducing her schedule as the years go on. But alas, it seems that slowing down isn't a phrase the Queen is familiar with at all. So what does a day in the life of Queen Elizabeth II look like? Well, let's find out. Morning. Every morning, Queen Elizabeth wakes up at 7:30 a.m. While the Queen is an active lady who's always busy, she keeps the mornings relatively quiet to start with, remaining in bed to watch the Today program on BBC's Radio 4. If there's one thing the Queen loves, it's loyalty to the crown. Angela Kelly has been the Queen's longtime personal assistant, and she knows how the Queen likes just about everything. So, in the mornings, while the Queen lies in her bed and watches the telly, Angela draws her a bath. She ensures the temperature is just right and even uses a wood-cased thermometer to get it just right. She also makes sure it's precisely 7 inches deep. We can't have the Queen drowning now, can we? Possibly the most British thing about her morning is that while she gets dressed, the maid brings her a pot of steaming hot Earl Grey tea. She doesn't take milk or sugar in her tea because, based on reports, she's sweet enough. She never does her own hair. Instead, hairdressers get it just right every morning to replicate the iconic hairdo we all know far too well. She even has it trimmed once a week to ensure it remains exactly how it was when she ascended to the throne in the 50s. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We know the Queen is a sucker for a good hat. It's probably her most iconic feature. Other than the crown itself, that is.
It's difficult to always remember that diamonds are stones, so they're very heavy.
Yes. Fortunately, my father and I have about the same sort of shaped head. But once you put it on, it stays. I mean, it just remains itself.
You have to keep your head very still.
Yes. And you can't look down to read the speech. You have to take the speech up. Because if you did, your neck would break. It would fall off. So there are some disadvantages to crowns, but otherwise, they're quite important things.
It's actually estimated that she's worn over 5,000 hats in the past 50 years. There's actually a rather strict dress code amongst the royal family. You can't wear colorful nail polish. National colors are prioritized for tours. Always have a black outfit on standby. Skirts should go no higher than the knee. Women wear dresses as much as possible. And bright colors are always welcomed. As a result, we see the Queen always wearing a dress of some sort, and usually it's incredibly colorful. The Queen doesn't get involved in her outfits. She relies on her team to come up with the best choices. And usually she changes outfits up to 5 times a day. At 8:30 a.m., it's time for breakfast. Cereal and a hard-boiled egg. She keeps it simple. Her cereals of choice, you ask? Special K, Quaker Oats, or Weetabix. Shortly after, she enjoys time on the balcony listening to the royal court playing bagpipes. Gosh, this breakfast sounds fit for a queen. Oh wait, Queen Elizabeth is an avid fan of the bagpipes. They remind her of her beloved Balmoral estate in the Scottish Highlands. By 9:30 a.m., it's time for the Queen to begin her royal duties. She enters her office and immediately begins working on the 2 hours of daily paperwork she has to attend to. What that actually means is beyond us. It's reported that she answers letters from the public and actually receives roughly 300 a day. Now that's a lot of fan mail. She doesn't answer all of them, and in all honesty, it's often other people answering them for her. She's a busy lady. She can't be expected to reply to each one. Her press secretary then provides Her Majesty with the daily headlines and briefs her on the current global events. Before his death in 2021, Prince Philip didn't reside in Buckingham Palace. He instead preferred to stay at the Wood Farm on the Royal Sandringham estate located in Norfolk. So long before his death, the Queen was used to spending her days alone in the palace. The good news is that she had a tremendous amount of time to get through the mountains of work so that she could enjoy her weekends. She really is just like us. As the paperwork draws to a close, Her Majesty has meetings lined up with incoming and outgoing foreign dignitaries. However, she only gives them a 10-minute audience in the audience room of Buckingham Palace.
Oh, good evening.
Hello. Are you well?
Thank you very much. I'm still alive. Anyway.
The Queen is known to be a relatively neutral person in the realm of politics. She makes concerted efforts to not interfere with political issues. She might meet with the Prime Minister a lot, but her involvement in political affairs is subdued by design. At 1:30 p.m., it's tea time, or more commonly known, lunchtime. Afternoon. For lunch, the Queen either eats alone, or if they're around, and if she wants to, she'll eat with her children. When it comes to the lunch itself, it's quite something. Lunch is often rather elaborate in the palace and can be an entire 4-course meal. Something about the lunch that is imperative to the Queen. The main is usually peasant or venison. Specific requirements have to be met for the Queen's meals. For example, all her vegetables are always cut into equal sizes. Also, the Queen only drinks one brand of natural spring water, something she drinks throughout the day, and that's Malvern water, which comes from the Malvern Hills. Besides water, though, the Queen sometimes enjoys a little gin and Dubonnet. The Queen is still British after all, and if there's one thing the Brits love, it's getting a drink. As lunch draws to a close, the Queen is presented with a weekly menu which she must approve. The menu is presented by the royal chef who crafted it, and it's written entirely in French, something which has been the norm since Queen Victoria's reign. With lunch and weekly menu out of the way, the Queen takes a moment to stretch her legs in the palace gardens. More often than not, she walks alone. However, if someone has joined her for lunch, she might walk with them. This time spent walking the garden is rather essential to her. Hence, she takes it very seriously and as a result is rather protective of it. Following her walk, the Queen takes a 30-minute break to relax and reads the Racing Post. Her Majesty has always been known as an avid fan of horse racing. Fun fact, she even has her own racehorses.
And we know she loves to play the ponies.
Her Majesty the Queen only presents 2 trophies during Royal Ascot, and look at the delight there, the sheer joy.
The Queen even rides horses sometimes, and has since she was a child. Once 4:30 p.m. arrives, the Queen ends all royal engagements before returning to the palace dining room at roughly 5 p.m. for tea. These Brits and their tea. Tea time always includes sandwiches, cut into 4 and without their crusts. Apparently, she loves salmon sandwiches. Her Majesty also enjoys some scones with a bit of jam and cream, as well as a slice of Dundee fruitcake. The Queen has been known to simply adore chocolate and likely finds any excuse to have some throughout the day. Finally, she returns to her office and works for another hour to wrap up any remaining work for the day. If she has anywhere to be on any given day, she's escorted around and prepped on the way to an event to ensure she knows who she's meeting with. She meets with multiple important people every day, either with the British government or her Privy Council. At 6 p.m., she returns to her room in order to prepare for dinner. The only time this changes is when there's an event she needs to attend in the evening. Otherwise, it's always dinner at 8 p.m. in the palace. Once a week, she meets with the Prime Minister on a Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Evening. Dinner arrives in her private quarters, and she eats alone. She'll eat in the dining room only when necessary, such as events or when with her family. She eats from a silver tray and afterwards will either watch some television or read in her sitting room, which is attached to her office. It's been reported that at one point, the Queen actually watched the Netflix drama series The Crown, which depicts her life. Apparently, she even enjoys it. Sure, they probably get some things wrong, which she doesn't enjoy, but she seems to be a fan overall. It's by no means her favorite, though. She's a big fan of British game shows, EastEnders, Doctor Who, and Downton Abbey. On the rare occasion, she might use the evening as a means to check on any correspondence from the Commonwealth and the United Kingdom. Then, as the evening is drawing to a close, the Queen is briefed on what is happening the following day by her Vice Chamberlain. Once this is completed, she retires to her bed, usually at 11 p.m. Either the Queen will go to bed immediately, or she will enjoy some reading before turning in entirely and waiting for the next day to do it all again. One thing that's been reported that she does before indeed turning in is writing in her diary. Maybe one day we'll get to see what's inside the pages of her royal journals.
I keep a diary, but it's not really a diary like Queen Victoria's, you know, or as detailed as that. It's quite small.
But you write it in your own hand?
Oh, yes.
Yes, I think that's terribly important.
I can't write any other way.
The Queen's schedule used to be much more intensive, but her workload has decreased substantially as she's gotten older. However, she still works extremely hard, and considering her age, it's impressive just how much she truly gets up to in a day. And speaking of people in power, click this video to find out what a day in the life of former presidents is like, and I'll see you there.